Hi, my name is Rob, and I've never read a book. How are you? So that is true. For my entire life, I have managed to avoid reading a book cover to cover ever. All throughout elementary school, high school, college, grad school, I have always avoided reading a book from cover to cover. I've never done it in my entire life. For whatever reason, I have never enjoyed reading. It's never something that I've enjoyed. It's not something that I have ever done willingly or ever, even when I was supposed to. Like, I remember in high school, we had these summer reading tests. It was the first week of September, the first week back at school. And I don't know if every school is different, but in my high school, we got a list of 5 books to choose 2. So you had to read 2 books out of a list of 5. And then the first week of school, you had to take an exam on both books. And I always failed every exam. So this is what I would do when I walked into any summer reading exam. I would either make up the story in my head and just take the test and hope that I got something right, or I would Spark Notes. I barely even read the Spark Notes. I would Spark Notes the books and just kind of get an idea of like what the story is about, and then I would go in and take the test. But I failed every single summer reading test that I ever took. Ever. And even in college and grad school, where I'd have to write papers on books and have to read a book and write a paper on it, I never read the book. No. I would YouTube or Google people talking about the book or like about the plot of the book, and I would just write the paper or take the exam or whatever based on that. So I never actually read the book. But I want to challenge myself, right? Like, I always hear people talking about, oh, reading is such a good hobby to have. It's such a healthy, it makes you a better, more well-rounded person to read books. And for my entire life, I've always just been like, nah, I don't read. I enjoy movies. I enjoy television. I don't like reading. But a couple years ago, actually, this was right before the pandemic. So this was around December of 2019. So basically, I graduated in May of 2019, and then I started working. So I had been working for a few months at that point. So like right around December. So from May to like December, January of 2020. To give a little background story on me, I went to school for something and I pursued something that I didn't really want for myself, but it was more just the financial stability of it all, and also my parents, which I'm very thankful for. I'm very thankful for my parents, and they were, they just wanted stability and like, this is a good profession, like you should do this, like, they really pushed me in this direction. Again, I'm not faulting them at all. I'm not, whatever. I'm not saying that. It wasn't really what I wanted for myself, but I can see them as parents, why they pushed me in a certain direction as opposed to what I really wanted to do. But anyway, so it's that year, so December 2019, January of 2020, I'm at work. This is actually at my old job. I don't work at this job anymore, but it was just a normal day, and I came across this patient. First time I ever worked with this patient. And, I'm always, hi, how are you? How's everything? How you feeling? Do you have any pain? Where's your pain? Blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever. What are your goals with therapy? Like, what are your goals with whatever? So this patient pulls an Uno reverse card on me and is now asking me questions about my life. And I'm just like, huh? Like, this is about you. Like this treatment session, like I'm working with you to help get your lower back pain better or get your shoulder feeling better. Whatever the case is, I don't even remember. But like, now you're asking me questions? I'm like, okay. I just graduated a few months ago. Like, again, this was before COVID. So this is it's so interesting to think back to that time of like when I first graduated and like started working, and then all of a sudden, like a few months later, a pandemic. But anyway, so this patient was asking me questions about like, so who are you? Like, how's your life? What's going on? Are you happy in life? Are you satisfied in life? Is there anything like, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your, blah, 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 whatever. And I was just taken back because I was like, I could just lie and say that, oh, I'm fulfilling my dream doing what I'm doing right now as my job. But, or I could just be honest and say, this isn't really the path that I really want for myself. This is just something that's more financially responsible, financially stable, and I do like helping people. Don't get me wrong. I like the social interaction. I like helping people, but ultimately what I went to school for and what I'm doing isn't quite what I want for myself. And then the patient was asking me, well, what is it that you want to do? Like, what are your goals? What are your, and then I really got into it, and I was like, at first I was like, I don't really want to like open up this can of worms, but okay, whatever. Like, what do I have to lose? Like, what is this patient going to do? Judge me? Be like, oh, you're weird. Ugh. Okay, cool. So I told the patient, like I kind of want to do other things and, whatever. And out of nowhere, this patient was like, there's this book that I want you to read. I think you'll really enjoy it. And I was like, thank you for the recommendation. I'm not really a reader myself, but I mean, I'll look into it for sure. And like, that's where the conversation ends. That's it. I said, thank you for the recommendation. I'll look into it. Maybe I'll find the book somewhere and read it, whatever. And then I finish up the treatment session with the patient, bring them into the gym for exercise, and then they leave. So now I'm working with my next patient in the treatment room, and I get a knock on the door, and it's one of the front desk receptionists knocking on the door saying, hey, Rob, there's a patient that came back to see you. And I was like, huh? And in my head, I was like, I hope it's not a complaint. Like, what, like, who could have, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. You know how your brain always goes to like the worst case scenario? Like when you get a knock on the door and you're like, oh, what is this now? Did a patient come back and complain about me? Like, what did I do? Like, what? Anyway, it was the patient that I had the conversation with. And this patient, okay, I should also give a little bit of a backstory. So where I used to work at this office, at this clinic, there was a Barnes & Noble right next door. So this patient, I finished the treatment session, they left. They went to Barnes & Noble next door and then came back to give me this book. And it's called The Alchemist. And this patient was so adamant about me reading this book and was so like stern of like, I got you this book, I want you to read it. And I was like, why? I was very thankful, but also like communicating, why did you spend money on me? Like, I told you I would look into it myself. Like, I keep this book, return the book, get your money back, and I will leave work whenever I leave work. I will personally go to Barnes & Noble myself, and I will buy the book myself. Please don't buy things for me. Like, I get so awkwardly uncomfortable when people, especially, I mean, even with family and friends, that's one thing, but when it's like a stranger or a patient at work, it's like, please don't spend money on me, because now I feel like I owe you something. Like, in my head, it's like, okay, now I'm in debt, and now I have to somehow pay you back. So at first, I remember I told the patient, look, return the book, get your money back. I will go to Barnes & Noble myself, and I will buy myself the book. Keep your money. And the patient was like, no, you're going to keep that book. And I was like, okay, well, at least let me pay you. Let me pay you for however much the book was. And the patient did not want my money. The patient was like, nope, I'm not taking your money. It's a gift. Here you go. Enjoy the book. And the patient just left. And I was like, can I, like, huh? And this was, like I said, December 2019, January 2020, somewhere around there. And it is now end of July of 2024. I still have the book, but I have not read it. And I feel like I at least owe that patient that I should read this book from cover to cover. Now, this is going to be really challenging for me because, number one, I don't enjoy reading. But maybe I'll force myself to read, and this will be like a growing moment for me. Hey, Rob, you've never read a book from cover to cover, you don't enjoy reading? Maybe now's the time to, embrace something that you don't think you want to do. But I don't know. I don't know why this particular patient was so, what's another word? Like, so adamant about me reading this book. But I don't know what this book is about. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to read the book, and I will report back. I just felt very uncomfortable that a patient that I met one time, that I worked with one time, felt the need to go to Barnes & Noble next door to where I was working, get the book and give it to me. And then when I told this particular patient, hey, return the book, get your money back, I will go to Barnes & Noble and I will buy the book myself. And the patient was like, no, keep the book. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to give me the book, can I at least pay you for it? Can I give you the cash for it? And the patient didn't want that either. He's like, nope, I'm not taking your money. You're going to read that book, you're going to enjoy it, and that's that. And then the patient just left. So, and I actually never saw that patient ever again. I also don't work at that job anymore. So I now work at a different office. But, so not only do I owe it to that person who bought me this book, but I think I owe it to myself to, force myself to do something like read a book, even if it's going to be a little bit painful in the beginning, because I know myself. Once I start reading, it's just like, after reading a few words, I'm already bored. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I immediately want to do something else, but I'm going to force myself to read this book.